Hello and welcome to my Udacity virtual reality capstone project. This is a screen capture of the final project running on the HTC Vive. During this portion, there's actually audio that is instructing players what to do as if they've been placed in this Viking village. I'm going to give you a little bit of quick background on the design and idea behind what I chose as themes and interactions for my project. I really wanted to work around the voice recognition that's now available to implement inside of virtual reality experiences, and I wanted to build around that an experience similar to playing Skyrim, hence the Viking Village asset that I found on the Udacity store and used as a setting. So if you ever played Skyrim, you can use shouts, and I thought as far as, or for my project, for the theme of my project, since it had to be around an emotion, that being able to say words and have effects happen like shouts in Skyrim would imbue the emotion of power. So that's what I went with for this. And the theme, or the game portion of my experience, is that you have to find the 4 runes of power scattered throughout the village and use different elemental powers to acquire new powers from each of those runes. And I will explain how that happens as we go along. I initially wanted to capture the audio of me saying what's happening as I'm actually playing the game. However, that recording did not go through properly. So I'm going to explain the objectives that I met as we go along. So as I said at the very beginning, or the experience is based around the voice recognition. And here's an example where for voice recognition you say fly and you actually are lifted up. And that's so that the player can have a vantage point to help navigate and find where these runes of power are. And that's also the sense of scale that I brought. So trying to work both, or actually all 3 into one. You say fly, you're lifted up for a vantage point, for scale, and to help you navigate the maze of the village. You say walk, and you're back to the ground. And I did for lighting, the village came with built-in lights, but I did go in and modify those for performance requirements and made almost everything baked lighting except for the torch that you keep in your hand. What I'm doing right now is looking at the sky because I animated the sky so that there's a very slight rotation in the skybox, giving a sense of time of the night passing. But going back to lighting, the light or the torch that you have in your hand is the only real-time lighting source. All the others have been turned to baked a light map for performance features or enhancement, and also for that diegetic UI, which goes back to having the explanation in audio from the beginning, so you don't have to sit there and read everything. But also I wanted the torch to be in their hand, so that's one of the controller models, so that it lets them know, hey, you're going to need this later on, because you do, as part of the game. And the original lighting setup in the game was for daytime or dusk. I put it all at night. And so having that torch leads the player to know, hey, I'm going to need this in some capacity later on. This is part of the game. I can't just drop it and not have it when I'm going to need it. I did continue to implement a basic teleportation mechanic to navigate through the game, as opposed to the walking feature that the environment came with, but I did set a particle emitter as the indicator. There's our first rune, the water rune. And so we're going to go capture that one. Once we get up a little closer, from a distance you can't see it. This is part of that diegetic UI and the torch coming into play. You can't see anything particular with the rune from afar. But when you get closer, there is going to be a little bit of text that you're going to use the torch to see. I wanted it to look as if it was almost like ancient words scratched in the rune that were hard to read, hence why it's in gray. Really should go back and change out so it's something that looks like it's scrawled in there or scratched in there, as opposed to sans or Arial, whatever the basic text is. But with the torch, when you're close to it, you can actually read the words, and that gives the direction on what you do at this rune. Of course, with more time, I'd really like, it looks like ancient lettering, but as you get close, then it sort of fades into text in the modern day English that you can read. But without the torch, you can't see the words. With the torch, you can. And so it's telling you, how to use. You already have the power of wind, and so when you say wind, recognizes that as the key word. The headset recognizes that, and then you use the power of wind to overcome the water rune, which we'll do here in just a second, and you'll see the effect play. So as part of this, I found a particle pack on the Unity asset store, which is what I used for all these different effects, but then used it so it's like when the wind is coming from you. So now we have the power of water. So whenever we say rain or water, you'll see a gush of water fall from the sky in front of wherever you're looking. And so there's the water. And so now we're going to go find the next rune, and you'll see that there's, the effect of the water over the rune is now gone. And we're going to go find the next one, which is the fire rune. Of course, we use water to overcome fire. So standing in front of it, now we'll say water. The rain or the fire is gone, and we've now we have fire. And so there are the fires coming from us. And you can see the calls down in the console. Here's the electricity rune or the shock rune. So you use fire to overcome electricity, at least in my demo. And there, water doesn't work over the shock. You have to use the proper element to capture, or each element has a specific element that conquers it. So wind doesn't do anything to electricity. But now we use fire, and we will acquire the power of shock or electricity. That way, for the game, it requires you have to go in sequence. And here's our wind rune. And for this, we use shock. And now we've captured wind. So now that we've acquired all of the different elements, I'm going to navigate out toward the dock area, because as part of that beginning explanation, you get a little bit of backstory that this place has never seen the light of day. It lives in perpetual darkness. So now, with the combined powers of all the elements, when you say day, you will bring daytime to this place that lives in unending night. And so the skybox will change, the lights throughout the scene will change, and that's part of that lighting accomplishment that I went for. So now you see everything in daytime. So that is bringing the that's bringing the scale, the animation, the lighting, the locomotion, the gamification, diegetic UI, and then the speech recognition into my example. And that's my project. Thank you much.